I'm used up, growing tired of knots, tangled up in problems, and not caring enough.
Everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Hey, this is EAJ Man from Autopsy Live and the Skype Pirates. When I want to make it look like I give a shit about sports, I tune into Sports World Radio with Jeff Escow.
Jeff
Doing my time. Doing my time. Got myself a problem.
Live from San Diego, it's Sports World Radio. You've never heard a sports show like this. Oh, no, you haven't. blow me.
You got it.
Holy fucking shit.
What the hell is your major malfunction?
Can't believe that goddamn son of a bitch did that fucking crap.
Don't give me any of your shit.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. Those are your hosts, Jeff Escow and Sean Mann. Remember, those who can't play sports, talk about it. These two tell it like it is. Tune into Sports World Radio for the fastest hour of sports of your life. So here they are, the douchebags of sports themselves, Jeff Escow and Sean Mann.
Hey, welcome everybody to Sports World Radio. I'm the host, Jeff Escow, alongside with me, like he is each and every Monday through Friday, Sean Mann, the update man. That's right, he's with me all the time. Now listen, guys. You want to listen to the show? You want to find out where you can listen to the show? There's several different places. SportsWorldRadio.com. We're also simulcast on HonestAnswerRadio.com as well as Good and Plenty Radio. You can hang out in the chat room with us over at Spreaker.com. That's SPREAKER.com. Get a free account over there and come over and hang out in Sports World Radio's chat room with us. Also, like our Facebook page over there, facebook.com/SportsWorldRadio, as well as our Twitter page, twitter.com/SportsWorldRadio. You want to get in touch with the show, give us a call at 619-663-3715. 619-663-3715 is the number. If you're a Skype user, head on over to Sports World Radio, click the red icon on the left-hand side that says Call Now, and Skype users will be directed right to the show. Now, with all that out of the way, what do you say? Hey, we bring in that co-host, the guy sitting next to me. Well, not really, but in my ear right next to me, Sean Mann, the update man. What's going on there, my friend?
Welcome, Jeff, and hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports World Radio at 6:06 p.m. on the East Coast, which makes it 3:06 p.m. on the West.
And what time is it in the Central?
They need to figure that out for themselves. Wednesday, May 7th, 2014. It's great to be here, Jeff. Weather right now, very nice, like in the 60s, very, very warm, and yeah, just nice and cool today. How's the weather out there in San Diego, and how are you, Jeff?
Oh, it's beautiful out here. I'd probably say it's about 70 degrees with nice wind going on. It's beautiful out here. I would say it's kind of a little warm in the studio right now, but it's freaking beautiful out here. I'm kind of digging it right now, man. You know, it's comfortable. It's not hot. It's just a little warmer in the studio, but I could deal with that.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, dude? How are you?
Not bad. Doing fine. Just quiet today. Just ready to get going. And, yes, an Encyclopedia Man says, hey, for all you people who want to know what time it is in Central, it's 5:07 p.m.
Okay, so before we get started with this program, since the producer man, Joshy Lopez, the producer of Sports World Radio, is in the house and in the chat room, I want to say something to that man right there, that rat bastard himself. You know what I want to say to him?
What do you want to say to him?
Happy birthday, you rat bastard.
Happy birthday, Encyclopedia
Today's the Encyclopedia Man's birthday, Mr. Joshy Lopez's birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. Did you get to see your teacher today?
I'm sure he's going to get a lot of presents and have some have a nice chocolate cake.
I hope he got to see his favorite teacher today. Get himself a nice birthday present. So happy birthday there, buddy Josh. Oh, many, many more, my friend, and I hope you have a great, great day today, pal.
Yeah, I hope you have a good day too there, buddy. Thank you for your stories that we have to get to. The first story we're going to get to, we're going to start in the NBA. I saw what he said. Roy Hibbert's disappearing act is wearing thin in Indianapolis. For Pacer fans, they are so angry. They want him benched or traded. Critics have made Hibbert the target of jokes. Teammates are desperately trying to coax their all-star center out of his funk, and even ultra-positive coach Frank Vogel knows it's time for Hibbert to start playing big. Jeff, you were talking about him yesterday on the show. Pacer fans have every right to be upset.
Where the hell has he showed up for the playoffs? Nowhere to be found, huh?
No.
Nowhere to be found. And Frank Vogel's got to do something. And you want to know something here? I was laying in bed last night, watching a little tube before I fell asleep, late this morning, I should say, 4 o'clock this morning, 4 or 5 this morning. Laying in bed, and I'm sitting there thinking, and I said, you know something, Self? Here's a great idea that only you would think of, and nobody else will. With the firing of Mark Jackson yesterday, let me grab some iced tea here. Hold on a second. With the firing of Mark Jackson yesterday, correct? Mm-hmm. I happen to think, and this is my personal opinion, I don't know that this is going to happen, but as you know, here on Sports World Radio, I'd like to make predictions on things, don't I?
Yes, you do.
And I'm usually pretty damn good and right most of the time, correct?
You are correct most of the time.
Okay,
yes.
I am making another prediction. And I'm predicting it now and saying it now on May 7th. Because when it happens, everybody can say, wow, I never even heard of that, saw it coming or anything. But you were right, and I am going to be right. Mark Jackson has been fired from the Golden State Warriors. Win or lose, I don't care if they go into the next round and face the Heat. The Indiana Pacers will fire Frank Vogel, and the next head coach of the Indiana Pacers will be Mark Jackson.
That's a good prediction.
And
Jeff.
why do I say that? Mark Jackson played for the Indiana Pacers. Mark Jackson has a relationship with Larry Bird. Oh, that's right. Larry Bird's in charge of all basketball operations for the Indiana Pacers. What a coinky-dink, huh?
Yeah, and I'm going to agree with you there too, Jeff, that that's a good situation for the Pacers to do. So, like I said, win or lose, they lose the series against the Wizards, you bet Frank Vogel will be out as head coach. I even called it and predicted it against Atlanta because Indiana, fact remains, they are just not a good team. How about this? In the 7-game series against Atlanta, Hibbert averaged 5.3 points and 3.7 rebounds and shot just 37.2% from the field. His minutes dwindled from 30 in Game 1 to 12.5 in Game 6.
How do you play in 3 playoff games, don't score any points, have no rebounds, and you're a center, and you don't score no points and no rebounds or nothing, and you have more fouls than you do points and rebounds combined? What the hell's the matter with that? There's something going on in him, whether it's personal, professional, there's something going on with him. And he's playing this bad. You know which team I see them trading him to? You're going to laugh, the laugh of the laugh. You know who he's going to get traded to?
Who?
New York Knicks.
Goes from Indiana to the New York Knicks. That is a possibility because of what's going on with Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, but I happen to think that Frank Vogel's getting fired whether he wins this series, gets to the next series, whether he loses, it doesn't matter. I think they're going to fire him regardless.
Well, remember, in our semifinal picks, and I have those down, Jeff, we both have got the Wizards winning this series. And I have to tell you, and quite frankly, I can see that happening because the Pacers, they didn't end the season well. And I remember when we had our NBA elimination pick, my picks were between the Thunder and the Pacers. I picked Indiana because why? The Pacers didn't end the season well. There must be something, you're right, going on with Hibbert. But not only that, there's probably something going on with the Indiana Pacers, and something's not going very right with them. Something's not clicking, something's not there. And then Larry Bird can say, well, Frank Vogel, you've done well, you've had a great run, see ya, I want you out as Indiana Pacer coach, which will happen. And then you're right, Mark Jackson and Larry Bird, that's a connection right there. And they
even
had
though
a very
Mark,
good friendship.
Yeah, even though Mark Jackson lives in California, I think if Larry Bird came to him, I think he would take that job. So I happen to think that Mark Jackson is going to be the next head coach of the Indiana Pacers.
Biggest,
that's just how I'm thinking. That's just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Don't take it at all. I really don't give a flying noogie. But when I usually say something like that, it usually ends up happening.
My question then, too, before we go to our first commercial break, Jeff, where would Frank Vogel go to?
Well, there's a litany of teams out there that are going to need a coach. Right now, Golden State needs a coach. Right now, the Los Angeles Lakers need a coach. Right now, the New York Knicks need a coach. So there's 3 teams right there that I'm thinking. Okay, and that's before, and that's not even right, and that's not even including the Indiana Pacers if they get rid of Frank Vogel. That's not including the Atlanta Hawks coach if they get rid of him. There's some other coaches that might end up going too as well. So, there are teams out there that need coaches. So we'll see what happens. But I just happen to think that win or lose, Frank Vogel is gone. The way he has handled this Roy Hibbert situation, I don't think Larry Bird likes it, and I happen to think that Larry Bird's going to fire him at the end of the year or let him go and bring in Mark Jackson. On that note, we're going to run to a quick commercial break.
Sports World Radio.
Storms move fast, so we use the best technology. That includes Bosch Icon wiper blades.
They're beam blades with memory tension springs and an aerodynamic design,
which means they fit the curve of the windshield. Bosch Icon wiper blades wiped our windshield clean and outlasted any other blade we've used. In my opinion, the Bosch Icon wiper blades are the best blades out there. Bosch Icon wiper blades, how storm chasers clear the way.
Did you know that just 30 minutes a day of physical activity can improve your health and decrease your risk of heart disease? For every hour of regular, vigorous exercise, you gain 2 hours of life expectancy. So start walking for yourself and for your heart. Start walking with your family. You'll feel better. Start walking in your community. You'll lead happier and healthier lives. Start walking. Start something. Join the movement today. For more information on the American Heart Association START program, visit startwalkingnow.org and start walking. Start something.
What kind of person gets to work in the sunshine instead of an office? This kind of person. I am the new way to work. I do have an office. I'm just not chained to it. It's a Regis office at one of the nicest addresses in the city. I don't have a lease, so I don't have to budget for stuff like phones, IT guys, and artwork for the lobby. Instead, I pay one low monthly rate that gives me a beautiful lobby that impresses my clients, a friendly receptionist, a fully furnished office, a place to meet, and a place to brainstorm with my fellow new way to workers. We wonder why more people don't realize that the new way to work is the best way to work. I come here because I want to, not because I have to. I am the new way to work, and I'd like you to join me.
Start now and get 1 month free. Call 1-800-OFFICES or visit regis.com/TV.
Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Welcome back to Sports World Radio. First break of the day. Second segment of the show. Sean Mann, Jeff Eskow with you. Like we are each and every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. in the East, 3 p.m. in the West. And if you live in the Central,
figure that out for yourself, peeps.
What, peeps? We'll check you out, man. What are you going? You're going, what are you trying to get some street cred over there?
Just trying to come up with new phrases and new sayings there.
Yeah, you got to do something, don't you?
Yeah.
Got to do something over there, right, buddy?
Technically true. Yeah.
Technically true, but not really. Right, pal?
Right.
All right.
Anyway,
So let me ask you a question. You think with Indiana's playing tonight, right?
Yeah, Indiana's playing game 2 of the
Okay, let me ask you a question. Does Roy Hibbert score tonight? What's the over and under on Roy Hibbert scoring tonight? Josh and anybody else in the chat room and anybody else listening to us, you want to get in this conversation? 619-663-3715. 619-663-3715. What's the over and under on Roy Hibbert tonight on points? In fact, what's the over and under?
He'll score some points tonight, but he has to be a big factor.
Okay, Sean, is he going to score more or less than 5 points tonight? Look at Josh. Josh says 5 points at best. We're going to make the over and under 5 points. Is he going to score more than 5 or under 5?
This is a good question too, Jeff. I would say that it's going to. I'm going to kind of say that he'll score less.
Less than
I really
5?
do.
Okay. Okay, now I want to ask you the other question. What's the over and under on his rebounds?
Well, let's see. I would say 3.7.
How do you get 3.7 rebounds? How do you get a 0.7 rebound?
3.7 rebounds, and he shot just 37.2% from the field. So that's why I'm saying it's going to go with less. And I'd say with rebounds, he might get more, but he needs to be a huge factor if the Indiana Pacers want to go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Hey, Josh, I kind of agree with you a little bit. He needs to be taken out of the starting lineup. Have him come off the bench. Have him come off the bench. Change something over there. Have Hibbert come off the bench. Maybe that'll get him into rhythm. I think he's going to come out of his funk. I think he scores more than 5 points tonight and gets more than 5 rebounds tonight.
Yeah.
That's what I say. You're going under on both, Sean?
I'm going to go under on both.
You're going under on both, and I'm going to go over on both.
He's not been very impressive, Jeff. He doesn't look like he's into the games, and he feels like he's distracted, and that's not a good sign for the Indiana Pacers. And, of course, that's angered a lot of Pacers fans.
He looked like he never played a game in his life the other night, didn't he? Pushing people around, falling all over the place. Looked like he never played a game in his life.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, you're right, because what's happening is that something must be distracting him and that he's not totally involved in the game.
Not only that, he's the center, right?
Yeah.
He's got to score some points down low and get some freaking rebounds. He's got to get his head in the game.
I'll tell you one thing. Indiana loses this game tonight against the Wizards.
They're in trouble. They're in trouble.
Very deep trouble.
They're not like the Heat, who if they were 0-2 down 0-2 to the Nets, I wouldn't be worried because they can come back and win. Indiana goes down 0-2, you might as well kiss this series goodbye, and Larry Bird will be looking for his next head coach.
And Larry Bird will be making plenty of off-season moves because against Atlanta, that was not an easy series for them. They were very lucky that they were able to get past the Atlanta Hawks because there was a lot of talk about a big, big upset in the NBA, just like what happened in '94 when the Nuggets did it and your Knicks did it. Of course, they went to the finals that year. The Warriors in '07. Memphis did the same thing as an A seed when they knocked San Antonio out. So I have to tell you, Jeff, the Pacers are lucky to be in the second round, but I'm sure Miami's getting a huge laugh out of it because the opportunity here is that the Wizards pulled this upset and knock out the top seed Pacers because they're the 5th seed and nobody's given them even a chance since the playoffs started. It gives Miami an advantage because then the Heat can realize and say, well, then that's going to be easy for us because now we're playing the Washington Wizards and we can get past them, the Eastern Conference Finals, and return to the NBA Finals for a 4th straight year.
I told you people that Washington was going to give Indiana a lot of trouble. I told you Bailey was going to be giving Indiana. Wall is going to give Indiana trouble. Nene's giving Indiana trouble. Golgat is giving Indiana trouble. They're Washington, from what I've seen, Washington is way too athletic for Indiana. Way too athletic. I mean, they just ran them up and down the court and rebound. Pretty much had their way with Indiana. Indiana plays like that for the rest of the time. Washington's going to be sitting around waiting for freaking Miami.
Well, yeah, you got to remember, they beat the Bulls in 5 games, the Wizards did, so they had plenty of time off. Indiana also lost because it was fatigue. You got to remember, they only had 1 day off before they had to play Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinal. So when a team wins in 7 games, yeah, you have 1 day off, but you're pretty. Yeah, you're
so
fatigued,
the Clippers
but you still have to go at it and still keep giving it your all.
The Clippers had 1 day off. They blew freaking Oklahoma out. The Spurs had 1 day off. They blew freaking Portland out. Where's the logic behind that?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Indiana is not playing the same ball that they played in the middle of the season. Indiana is in some kind of a funk that I ain't seen them in before.
They've been in a funk since late March or April, when the season came to an end, and they, like I said, barely held off Miami for that top spot in the Eastern Conference. So they're lucky to be still playing basketball, but I know Larry Bird would be just sitting there saying, I'm not impressed with this. He goes, heck, I'm a basketball player. I used to play the game. I used to have no problem winning playoff series, and I used to do a good job with coaching this Indiana team. But what am I seeing as president and the director of basketball operations for the Pacers? Not a lot of good progress, and you can't blame him at all for being disgusted and angry and annoyed that the Pacers haven't played like what we saw in the middle part of the season.
And now Andrew Bynum's not with the team no more with Indiana.
Yeah.
So now they got a problem.
Yeah, tonight must win for Indiana. No
yeah,
question
I
about
think
it.
so. I think for sure it's a must win tonight. They lose tonight going back 2-0 to Washington. Washington can end up sweeping the series and be sitting around and waiting for Miami.
And I think what you expect out of any playoffs is that every year you've got surprise teams in any professional league. That's the way you have to look at the Wizards. The Wizards are kind of this young team and kind of this surprise team in the NBA with nobody giving them a chance. So, like what we said yesterday's show, Jeff, hey, let's just be underdogs and shock the world and show people that we can really make a lot of noise in the NBA playoffs.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Now, in the other series last night, the Miami Heat, this is a series that is expected to be really, really intense, but the Heat were ready to play, no question about it. They defeat the Brooklyn Nets big time last night, and that's because the Heat had a long time off, and the Nets only had one day off, and then they got thumped. And Jeff, you're saying Heat are in good shape.
They stink, the Nets.
Yeah.
They stink, the Nets. Okay? There's no way that the Nets are going to win this series. No way. I don't see it happening.
It would be luck if they win this series because
I don't see it happening.
Like you said, Jeff, like you've always said, okay, big deal about the season series. It doesn't mean a hill of beans.
What
matters is that when the playoffs start, it's a different situation. And you got to remember, when a team gets swept or loses 3 out of 4, they remember that, and it just makes them stronger come playoff time.
I told you people that, but nobody listened to me. Everybody told me I was crazy. Well, guess what? I was right again.
Yeah, and Brooklyn, they have got to play a lot better. They're going to have to play a lot better, even if they want to get back to the Barclays Center and be able to get a split against them. If not, Brooklyn is in so much trouble heading back.
This could be, depending on how the Nets play tomorrow night, this could be a sweep or a 4-1 series. Go to 5, and that's about it. I don't see it going past 5, really.
Yeah.
The way the Nets played last night, I really don't. Do you know something? They got some late basketball games on tonight. I'm not too thrilled with that. The second game starts at 9:30 Eastern.
Yeah, which would be what, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time.
9:30 Eastern, 9:30 at night. A game's first starting to come on. That's late.
Very late.
That's late. I understand it's only 8:30 in Oklahoma, but that's still kind of late. Usually it's 7.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got the first game starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then the second game is at 9:30. That's late.
It sure is late.
You know, it'll be better when it's back to, well, for us anyway, because what they'll do is they'll probably do the same thing because it'll be 6:30 back here. It'll probably be 10 o'clock Eastern, which will be 7 o'clock Pacific. So the games will be starting a half hour later when they're playing in L.A., I bet you. But that's late. 9:30, 10 o'clock at night is late for a game to start East Coast. Right?
But the NBA has been doing that for years with the way the
I know, but that's freaking late, man.
For all those people on the East Coast, yeah.
I mean, that's late. They should start the games like at 6 o'clock East Coast time. which is like 3 o'clock our time, and then the second game can go at 6 o'clock our time, or 5:30 our time, which is 8:30. Make it a little earlier for the people back east. But I also see that it's a Western series. It's Oklahoma and LA. Not many people on the East Coast are going to be watching that game to begin with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. But it is playoff basketball. Come on, man.
It is playoff basketball, and
9:30 the game starts, and usually it's 2.5 hours long, right? So you're talking about midnight, 12:30 the game's getting over on the East Coast.
We have to run everybody to a commercial break. We'll be back to talk a lot more sports after this break.
Sports World Radio.
Welcome to the Man Manual. Man comes with a multifunctional casing known as skin. It is remarkable. Warning, standard body wash can cause damage to man's skin. Maintain it properly with Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash. It cleans man and protects skin from dryness. This will keep man's skin remarkable, even under extreme testing. Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash. Skin care built in. Also, freshen man's exterior with new Aqua Impact Body Wash.
Why does consultant Jerry Howell stay at La Quinta?
Can you come back tomorrow?
Because only with La Quinta can Jerry instant hold the room tonight using just his phone number. And then power down for tomorrow on his pillow top bed. And when Jerry's refreshed, you know what he does?
We need ideas, people. Think. Synergistic integration. Genius.
He thinks outside the box.
I'm going for it. No.
La Quinta Inns and Suites take care of you so you can take care of business. Instant hold your next stay on your smartphone at LQ.com.
La Quinta.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Sports World Radio. I'm the host, Jeff Escow. With me always, Sean Man, the update man, every Monday through Friday, right here on SportsWorldRadio.com. Join us for the fastest 2 hours of sports talk on the internet. And I can almost guarantee, and I bet you Sean can too because he's been with me long enough, I can almost guarantee this is a kind of a sports show you will never hear anywhere else but here. Right, Sean? This is not like your average, ordinary sports talk show now, is it?
No, it isn't, because we talk about a variety of topics.
Yeah, the only thing we don't like to talk about is NASCAR and college football.
NASCAR, college football, and add soccer to the list. I'm not really into soccer.
Yeah, well, every once in a while, we let a little soccer story go out. Don't forget, coming up at the second hour, that's right, I said second hour because we do 2 hours now. Second hour, we got Ron Gallo, Sports World Radio's very own hockey guru. We're going to come in, he's going to come in, we're going to talk NHL hockey playoffs in the second hour of the show. Ron's going to sit in for the whole hour. We're going to talk hockey with him. We're going to talk a lot of other stuff. I got a bone to pick with him. So get ready for that one, because that's going to be fun. I got a hockey bone. You guys know me. I'm not a hockey guy, but I got a hockey bone to pick with him. And then I'm gonna do a little comparison, a little injury comparison with him. And Sean never heard this before, so Sean's gonna have a nice laugh out of this. Ron's gonna have a nice laugh out of this. I know Josh is gonna be laughing his butt off about this one too. And anybody else coming and listening to the show, you're going to love this one. This is great comparison. It's a little injury comparison. You're going to love it. It's going to be hilarious. I'm saving it for when Ron comes in here because it has to do with a hockey thing. It's going to be freaking great. That's right, Josh. I always have bones to pick. That's why you don't piss the host off. The host has got the microphone. So I can pick all the bones I want. You guys don't have a mic. All you got is a chat room. So I can pick all the bones I want.
The next
So
story
before we do that, Sean, what did I say to you when we went to break? We were still talking about the topic when we went to break, right?
Yeah.
What did I say to you?
You were saying something about how those people on the East Coast have
They ain't
to
gonna
get up
watch the
like
game
5 or
anyway.
5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, but right. The game's going to be till 12, 12:30 on the East Coast. The people that got to get up to go to work at 4, 5, 5, 6 in the morning. That's not a lot of sleep if you're an NBA fan and you're going to watch the game. But seriously, how many people on the East Coast are going to watch it? Right? The only people on the East Coast are going to watch it are the people who work for sports stations and channels and radio shows, correct?
Yeah.
ESPN, of course, and all that stuff. And speaking of ESPN, I want to get this out there, too. Do you know tomorrow's the NFL draft, right?
Yep.
That's on ESPN, correct?
Correct.
Do you know on ESPN2 they got 2 NBA playoff games going on?
I did know that.
Talk about competing against yourself. Talk about competing against yourself. You got the NFL draft on ESPN, and on ESPN2, you got the 2 NBA playoff games for tomorrow night. Talk about competing against yourself. Is that a huge contradiction or what? Or am I the only schmuck that sees it?
I guess
I'm the only schmuck that sees it. You guess I'm the only schmuck that sees it, right?
Well, I guess that's the way the scheduling has to go.
How crazy is that?
Games on.
If you're pumping the living crap, your ESPN is pumping the living crap out of the NFL draft, right?
Right.
I mean, come see the NFL draft Thursday night. Blah, 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 blah. Come. Blah, blah. I mean, they're doing. I have ESPN on right now, and they're doing something from there right now. They're pumping the living crap at it on ESPN, right?
Right.
When I said to you that they got the 2 games on ESPN2, you didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't know that.
You know why? Because they're not saying anything about it. They're not pimping it. Talk about a contradiction of product. You're pumping the living crap out of one, but you're not pumping the living crap out of the other one. And basically, the NBA is in full playoff mode, and this NFL draft thing comes around once a year.
Correct.
If I'm the NBA, I'm pissed. If I'm David Silver, I'm pissed. I'm all up in ESPN's face about it. All up about it. Because this is ridiculous. They're competing against themselves, and they're not really competing against themselves because you don't hear them promoting the NBA games, do you?
No.
They're only promoting the living crap out of the NFL draft
that I could really care less about.
Exactly. So you know what channel my TV will be on tomorrow night. It won't be on ESPN, but it will be on ESPN too.
That's right, because that's what they have on.
See,
and
they
I won't be
figure,
really watching the NBA playoffs.
and you know what? I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm going, they're going to get all the NFL fans on ESPN1 or ESPN, and they're going to get all the NBA fans on ESPN2. So they'll have NBA fans on ESPN2 and NFL fans on they'll have it all. They'll have it covered. I'm surprised they're not putting a game on ESPN3, a baseball game. Yeah. Skip Bayless endorsed it. Like I said, nobody is endorsing it.
Nobody is, and it just
Look at
seems
Josh. Look at Josh. Josh says Skip Bayless endorsed it. like I said, Josh, nobody is endorsing it.
Yeah,
I can't
Skip
stand
Bayless
that dude, Skip Bayless. In fact, I have a Twitter account called I Hate Skip Bayless.
Because you can't stand
I
the
can't
man.
stand
And
him.
if you went and you debated him,
I
wow, that
hate
would
him.
be a heated argument between Jeff and Skip Bayless.
Yeah, I think it is at Hate Skip Bayless is what it is. At Hate Skip Bayless. I can't stand him.
His boy Johnny Manziel getting drafted.
His boy. Like he had anything to do with it. I like how he calls it my team this and my team that. Like you played. You've never played a freaking sport in your life, Skippy. I wonder how long he was called Skippy. Because if I was his childhood friend, I'd be calling him. Hey, I had a friend in junior high and high school. Okay? His name was Billy. His name was Bill, right? Mm-hmm. He had a dog. He had a dog named Skippy. Okay? Do you know what I called him?
What?
Skippy. Because his dog was named Skippy. So I called him Skippy. I was the only one that was allowed to do it, too. What's up, Skippy?
Skip. Yep.
Skippy. So I wonder how much he was called Skippy as a kid. Come here, Skippy, Skippy, Skippy.
I have no idea.
Guys, I'm jackass. Yes, I like Mike and Mike. I don't like Skippy. In fact,
like Stephen A. Smith?
I like Stephen A. Smith. In fact, I'm getting a little tired of listening to Mike Greenberg. He's starting to annoy me. Yeah, he's starting to annoy me a little bit. So I'm gonna have to stop listening for a little while until I got to get the fix. I think Golick is great. I always tweet to Mike and Mike when I'm up. And when Greeny says something stupid, I call him out on it. And at the end of the sentence, I always say, "You're an idiot." Always. Yeah, he's getting really bad. He's getting really bad, and he's got to knock it off. That's why I'm kind of hoping I win this contest so I can go there and tell him in person. You know what I'm saying there, Mary Jane? Yeah. All right, give me a topic there, buddy.
All right, now let's get to the NFL. The next story that we get to, Richard Sherman finally got his moment of being a top pick. He stood on the stage with spotlights beaming directly on his bow tie. Today was a big day because he signed a 4-year extension with the Seattle Seahawks for $57.4 million with $40 million guaranteed, and will keep him as a Seahawk through the 2018 season. Jeff,
I bet
you saw that. What's your thoughts?
4-year deal?
Yep, a 4-year extension worth $57.4 million.
I bet you he's probably the only few people that'll probably go through that contract.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, he can sign a 10-year contract. It don't mean nothing. Big freaking deal. Whoop-de-doo. I don't care if you sign a 5-year contract. You ain't 90% of these contracts, they don't make them through them anyway. You know that as well as I do.
Yeah, we talked about that a few days ago, Jeff, when you were saying usually players or coaches who signed a 4-year, 5-year extension who stay with the team usually don't make it through because then it's just because then the ownership is like, okay, we're going to give you maybe this year or maybe your second year to get it done. If you don't, hamstring.
If you think Robinson Cano is going to make it through that 10-year contract, you're crazy.
He won't make it through the 10-year contract because then when Seattle starts not doing well,
they're going to want to trade him.
Want to do whatever possible to get traded and go back to a winning team.
Exactly. He's not going to make it through that 10-year contract for nothing because that's crazy. Because at any time, if they really wanted to, they can cut him also.
Yeah, so Richard Sherman for the defending Super Bowl champion Seahawks is back for a 4-year extension. So
he might make through that contract, but it's hard to say.
It'll go through 2018.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. You know me. You know how I think about those long contracts. I think it should be 1-year performance and laced contracts because at any given moment, anybody could be fired from a contract. So what the hell is the sense of having a contract if you can fire me anyway?
Displaying his self-confidence has made Sherman a target for criticism. It was never louder than the gap in the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl when Sherman's shouting post-game rant on national television overshadowed the play he made to clinch the conference title against their rival, the San Francisco 49ers. We all remember that, and Jeff hasn't forgotten that also.
No, I thought that was pretty funny, actually. Tell you the truth. I thought it was really funny.
Seattle they'll be tough again. There is no question about it. The way they look, they're going to be a very tough team to beat. As well, yeah, they're the defending Super Bowl champions, and that Seahawks-San Francisco rivalry is really building up for the next couple years, in my opinion.
Hey, on that note, let's run to our first update of the day. This update is brought to you by KeuregCoffeeMachines.com. For all your Keurig coffee products, head on over to KeuregCoffeeMachines.com. You need some tea? You need some coffee? Looking for a drawer to hold all that stuff in? Or maybe you even need a coffee machine? Head on over to KeuregCoffeeMachines.com. Brewing perfection, one cup at a time. That's KeuregCoffeeMachines.com. Take it away, Sean Mann, with the first update of the day.
45 minutes past the hour. It is Wednesday, May 7th, 2014. Here's what we got going on in Major League Baseball right now. We're going to start with the finals from today from the National League and Interleague play games. The Pirates over the Giants by a score of 4-3. The Mets and the Marlins, this game goes to the Marlins 1-0. Nationals and Dodgers, this game goes to the Nationals by a score of 3-2. The Diamondbacks over the Brewers 3-2. Other games that we have that went final today, actually one going on right now, bottom of the ninth inning. This one is an out away. The Royals have a 8-0 lead against the Padres, so it looks like the Royals will very well get that game taken care of. The other National League game that we have scheduled for tonight, it'll be the Cardinals at the Braves. In the American League, a game that is going on in Oakland, California, the Mariners and the Athletics. This game is evened at 4 right now. The Mariners are threatening in the top half of the 10th inning. We'll keep you updated on that game. Here are the other games scheduled for tonight. We got the Twins at the Indians, interleague play, Phillies at the Blue Jays, Astros at the Tigers, Reds at the Red Sox, Orioles at the Rays, Mariners at the Athletics. Wednesday night baseball on ESPN, interleague play. It'll be the Cubs at the White Sox. And then, of course, you got the Rockies at the Rangers. And then, of course, the late game tonight will be the Yankees at the Angels. In the National Basketball Association, here's what we had from last night for finals from the first games that we had. In game number 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, the Heat prevailed big time, 107-86 against the Nets. Game 2 is tomorrow night in Miami, Florida. The Spurs all over the Trailblazers, 116-92. Tony Parker had 33 points. Game 2 is tomorrow night. For tonight's games, here's what we got. TNT, the game starts in 13 minutes. It'll be the Wizards at the Pacers and the Clippers taking on the Thunder. In the National Hockey League, here are the games that went final last night. There were 2 games complete. Last night, Eastern Conference semifinals, the Canadiens over the Bruins by a score of 4-2. The Canadiens lead the series 2-1 with Game 4 scheduled for tomorrow night. The Wild are able to stay alive. They prevail easily, 4-0 against the Blackhawks. This is a series that is in favor of the Blackhawks of 2-1. Tonight, and that's tomorrow's game will be between the Blackhawks and Wild. Tonight's game, by the way, it'll be the Rangers hosting the Penguins. The Penguins lead that series 2-1. And also, in the other series right now, the Mighty Ducks and the Kings are going on. And in that series, let me get everybody caught up on what's going on for that one. In that series, the Kings, of course, last one I heard, were up 2-0. They actually have a lead of, just going to take a look right now, a lead of 3-0, I think it is. Yeah, actually 2-0, and that Game 3 is tomorrow night. We're going to be right back after this commercial break.
Every parent wants the safest and healthiest products for their family. That's why I created The Honest Company. I was just a concerned mom with a crazy dream. A wish that there was a company that I could rely on that did all of the hard work for me. I'm Jessica Alba, and The Honest Company was my dream.
LegalZoom has helped a million businesses successfully get started, including Jessica's. Launch your dream at LegalZoom today. Call us. We're here to help.
I had PTSD. Once I was back from Iraq, I was distant from everybody in my family.
We had a reunion of our unit, and you'd hear these spouses say, "Is your husband doing that? My husband's doing that too. I thought it was just us." And really understanding that, hey, this is a common experience.
I learned more to listen to what he was saying, and that made it easier for me to understand where his pain was coming from.
Warriors should know that resources are available. Learn more at realwarriors.net.
Confusion ever someone or have sudden you trouble had speaking, understanding?
Understanding trouble? Have you sudden have or speaking someone ever confusion?
Have you ever had sudden confusion, trouble speaking, or understanding someone?
It could be one of the 5 signs of stroke.
Sudden weakness or numbness of the face, arm, or leg.
Sudden trouble with vision in one or both eyes.
Suddenly having trouble walking or difficulty with balance.
Or a sudden intense headache that comes out of nowhere.
If you or someone you know has any of these symptoms, don't wait. Call 911 immediately. You could make a difference in someone's life, someone you love, maybe even your own.
It's late until, wait, don't too.
Don't wait until it's too late. Time lost is brain lost.
Find out more at powertoendstroke.org. Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, this is Sky. And when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
World Radio right here on SportsWorldRadio.com. Glad everybody could be with us today. Jam-packed show. Jeff Eskow, Sean Mann with you here each and every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. in the East, 3 p.m. in the West. And if you live in the Central,
Encyclopedia Man, Frank, and Laura, and all you other peeps out there in the Central, figure that out for yourself. It's not that hard.
Where is Laura?
I'm sure she'll be coming in soon. I hope.
Don't forget top of the hour in the second half of the show. We're bringing in that hockey guru, that man over there, Mr. Ron Gallo, talk some hockey, and I got a bone to pick with him, and I got a question for him, and some other things. We're gonna have some fun with Ron when he comes in. Plus, he pays attention to a little basketball, so we'll get his thoughts on that and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that's coming up in the second hour of today's show. What do you got for me, Sean?
Okay, so we're talking about Richard Sherman. Another thing that's going to happen in the NFL. Actually, NBC, how about this? They extended the Olympic deal through 2032.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. I thought that. I think that's pretty cool. I like that.
The Olympics are staying on NBC in the United States through 2032 in a record $7.75 billion deal that cut out rival networks and seals the long-term financial security of the IOC, the International Olympic Committee.
Of the IOC. That's kind of fun to say. Of the IOC.
The new agreement goes into effect from 2021 and covers the Summer Olympics of 2024, 2028, and 2032 and the Winter Olympic Games of 2022, 2026, and 2030. I like it.
They paid big bucks, right? $7.5 billion, right?
Yeah.
That's big bucks, man.
It is.
Wow. That's a lot of freaking money over there.
It is a lot of money, and they did a lot of work to make that happen. But NBC has done a great job. With the Olympics, I thought they did very well with the Winter Olympics a few months ago. And it was a lot of fun. I pretty much paid attention to the Winter Olympic hockey, and I know that when we get our hockey man, Ron Gallo, our hockey expert, he will come in and give some thoughts about that.
You want to know something? You want to hear something that's crazy?
What?
I pay attention to more of the I watch more, I think, of the Winter Olympics than I do the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I watch. It's crazy. I find myself watching a lot of curling.
You watched a lot of curling?
Yeah,
Well,
you
I watched
know
pretty much
why?
a lot of hockey.
You know why? I watched.
Why?
Well, yeah, I watched a lot of hockey too. But of all the other sports, not hockey sport, I watched a lot of curling. You know why? Because that looks like a lazy man's sport. And I'm kind of a lazy guy, so that looks like a lazy man's sport. You don't really have to be in too much shape to throw a rock down the freaking end over there.
Yeah.
End or sweep. Because you don't do it back to back to back to back. You do it, and then you get the rest while the other team's doing theirs, and then you see what they do, and then the strategy comes into play. But it's not like you're running or anything like that, you know? So it looks like a lazy man sport. I kind of dig that. That's why that's why I think I watch it. I kind of like it.
In other news for the International Olympic Committee, they face the chronic delays threatening the 2016 Olympics, which will be in Rio de Janeiro, and an uncertain field for 2022 Winter Games, whose candidates are Kazakhstan, Beijing, Krakow, Poland, Ukraine, and there's a bunch of others.
I know San Diego's trying to get in there for Summer Olympics.
Wow, Jeff, if they have Summer Olympics in San Diego,
How great would that be? How great would that be?
That'd be nuts.
Yeah, I think I would have to go to work for a little while and go paint. You know, and say, because, hey, I did it in Atlanta. When I lived in Atlanta for a while. I lived in Atlanta for a while when they had the Olympics there.
In 96.
96, yeah. I lived in Atlanta for a little while because I was a painter back then. Mm-hmm. Right? I went to Atlanta to paint because I knew they were going to need painters. Right?
Yep.
So I went there and painted for a while, and I was before 96 because it was 4 years before 96. I painted from 92 to 94, 95 out there, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so it was before the Summer Olympics.
Yeah, because they were building. Yeah, they were building all the stuff, and I was painting it. You know, they hired me as a painter, and I went in there and so I painted a lot of the Olympic Village back in Atlanta. So I would love to do it again out here. Put my mark on the Olympic Village again. But they got a lot of structures out here already, man. They're pretty much made out here. I mean, Qualcomm is here. They got freaking Petco Park. Okay, they got the Olympic Training Center is here. They can use that. They got the lakes here for all the canoeing and all that stuff. They got pools out the wazoo here for all the swimming, and so they pretty much got a lot of the infrastructure here already.
It seems like to me, Jeff, that San Diego has really been doing a lot of building and really has expanded as far as sports goes there, and they're just making a lot of new changes, which is good.
Well, also from what I'm gathering out here, the Chargers in the city are getting together, and hopefully the Chargers will be getting a new stadium.
And that would be great because then they wouldn't have to move to Los Angeles because, you know, L.A. is looking for a football team.
Exactly. So if they put in a new stadium out here, then they'll have the Charger Stadium, they'll have Petco Park, and they'll have Qualcomm. So they'll have three of them that they can use venues at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean there, bud. And especially now since we move to the next story, since we got minutes before we bring Ron in. The Buffalo Bills, here's what Roger Goodell said. They said the Bills need a new stadium to ensure the future. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell expressed optimism that the Bills will remain in Buffalo and suggested the franchise will need a new stadium to ensure its long-term viability. In calling the Bills' recently negotiated 10-year lease agreement, quote, a short-term solution, Goodell on Wednesday said a new stadium would be the next step in securing the team's long-term future.
It's going to be interesting. I don't think they're going to get a new stadium. Buffalo Bills. Come on.
I don't see the Bills doing it either. I just don't look at them as a team that would move out of Buffalo because, like, I know that Encyclopedia Man, you had something for a story about how they would be called. I remember him saying the Niagara Falls Bills, that the Bills were looking at maybe moving to Niagara Falls, but that would not make any sense. I've always remembered them throughout all the years I've watched NFL, Jeff, as the Buffalo Bills, especially back in the days when they had Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Bruce Smith and Andre Reed.
Well, let's remember something.
Yeah.
the Bills aren't going anywhere because it takes 4 to 5 years to build a stadium anyway.
Yeah.
So they're not going anywhere. And they're right? And they're just in starting this stage now. It could be another 10 years before they go anywhere.
Yep.
So don't worry about it. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, again, Roger Goodell spoke during a pre-NFL draft event in New York City, and his comments provided in a transcript released by the NFL. And, of course, the Bills have been dealing with a lot of stuff since they've lost the late, great Ralph Wilson, who built the stadium, which was called Ralph Wilson Stadium in Orchard Park, New York.
Yeah, they ain't going anywhere, man. They're not going nowhere right now for the foreseeable future right now. Maybe in 10, 15 years, but they got to do votes and all this. That could take a year or two, and then they got to build a stadium wherever they go. I bet you, even if it's L.A., they got to build a stadium. Even if they're going to build a new stadium in Buffalo, that's going to take 4 or 5 years. So don't worry about it, man. Just, you know what I mean? I mean, geez, that's way down the road. And on that note, we're going to run to a quick break. It's the top of the hour. You're listening to Sports World Radio right here on SportsWorldRadio.com.
Sports World Radio.
Storms move fast, so we use the best technology. That includes Bosch Icon wiper blades.
They're beam blades with memory tension springs and an aerodynamic design,
which means they fit the curve of the windshield. Bosch Icon wiper blades wiped our windshield clean and outlasted any other blade we've used. In my opinion, the Bosch Icon wiper blades are the best blades out there. Bosch Icon wiper blades, how storm chasers clear the way.
Welcome to the Man Manual. Man comes with a multifunctional casing known as skin. It is remarkable. Warning, standard body wash can cause damage to man's skin. Maintain it properly with Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash. It cleans man and protects skin from dryness. This will keep man's skin remarkable, even under extreme testing. Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash. Skin care built in. Also, freshen man's exterior with new Aqua Impact Body Wash.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
All right, welcome back to Sports World Radio right here on SportsWorldRadio.com, HonestAnswerRadio.com. And also on Good and Plenty Radio. Hey, peeps over there on Good and Plenty Radio. How you all doing over there listening? You want to come and hang out in our chat room, come on over to SportsWorldRadio.com Spreaker account. That's right, Spreaker.com/user/SportsWorldRadio, I believe it is. If you don't have an account with Spreaker, it's free to get one out. Head on over to Spreaker.com, sign up for a free account, type in Sports World Radio. Just come on over to our chat room and hang out with us over there. Give us a call, 619-663-3715. 619-663-3715 is the number to give us a call. What do you got for me now, Sean?
We stay with this story with the Bills real quickly. Another important fact to tell you, Jeff, about this for this story, I've actually talked with Ron. He'll be coming in soon. The Bills, of course, are expected to have their end in 2019 under the terms of the lease the franchise reached with the state and county in December 2012. The Bills will incur a $400 million penalty by broaching the prospect of moving during the lease term. There is a one-time exception that would allow the Bills to break the lease for just under $28.4 million in 2020. And on that note, of course, now finally I've got Ron Gallo in.
Yeah, let's bring in that rat bastard right now. Where is he? There he is. You be quiet. Let me do the calling.
I'm here.
Hey, better late than never.
There you go.
Hey, what the hell you doing so late?
I just got back from, I don't know what I just got back from.
Where were you, on a hike?
No, it wasn't on a hike.
Wasn't taking a hike?
No, I was doing the
car salesman thing.
The car salesman thing. Yeah, we got a big sale tomorrow.
You were working?
I was. My day off. I ended up having to work.
How about them apples?
There you go. That's nothing new for me, though, eh?
No, it's nothing new for you, eh?
No.
Nothing new for you at all, my friend. That's what you do.
That's what I do.
Yeah, you do it pretty good.
The Hockey Man is here. Ron Gallo, welcome everybody. It's 5 after 4, 5 after 7 on the East Coast. And Ron, what's your thoughts about the hockey playoffs?
Hold on a second. Okay, hold on. One cotton picking minute.
But Jeff has a bone to pick with you.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. I got one for you. What time is it in the Central Time Zone?
Who gives a rat's ass?
They need to figure it out for themselves. But yeah, Jeff has got a bone to pick with you, Ron. Get ready.
Actually, I have one bone to pick with you, and then I have something else that I think it's going to be kind of fun that I want to do with you. Okay, Ron?
Okay, sounds good.
Sean doesn't know anything about the fun part. He knows about the bone. What is Gary Bettman doing, scheduling back-to-backs in a playoff?
The funny thing is that he did that to the New York Rangers twice. Now. He did it with the Philadelphia Flyers. They played back-to-back games 6 and 7.
Yeah, it was twice, Jeff.
I know. He did it twice to him. I know. The coach of the Rangers is pretty pissed off.
He is, and that's
I don't blame him.
But I don't know how to look at it. I mean, the two games that were played back-to-back, New York Rangers get shut out 3-0 and so let's take a look at the scores first of all. How much of that is Gary Bettman's fault when the New York Rangers can't even come up with one goal against the Pittsburgh Penguins, who, by all rights, maybe shouldn't have even made it out of the first round when they played the Columbus Blue Jackets as bad as they did?
Hey, how do you pronounce his name?
Which one, Alain Vigneault?
Yeah, is that the head coach of the Rangers?
Yeah, he's a French Canadian.
How do you pronounce that? Vigneault?
Vigneault.
Vigneault. Okay, he's Canadian, so I can't say what the hell's going on with you, man.
No, Poutine.
Who?
It's Canadian. Never mind.
What did you call me?
Yeah, I'm calling you a poutine. Yeah, that's all right. Fries with gravy and cheese curds.
What did you call me? What did you call me? A punta?
Here's the thing, though, with the hockey scheduling. They've been doing that for years a lot. They've always played one game with the teams that have already played, got done, and then they have to play the next night.
It's the playoffs, for Christ's sakes. Give them a break.
Okay, now I do understand that some venues you have to kind of schedule around some events and some things. But, Jeff, you and I come from a different era. You and I come from an era where you played on night number 1 and night number 3 and night number 5 and night number 7. There, you knew you were playing one game and then a day off, then one game, then a day off. But you look at the NBA, you look at the NHL, and you are getting back-to-backs occasionally. But what I'm finding really bizarre is when you have 2 days off in between games 1 and games 2, like happened with the Toronto Raptors and the Brooklyn Nets. Not once, but twice in that first-round series.
It happened for every team in the first-round series. I don't mind them doing it, giving them 2 days if they're going to travel. I don't have a problem with that. But if they're going to stay in the same city and play 1 day and then give them 2 days off and then play the game the next day, that's the one I have a problem with.
I know this happened 2 weeks ago, but games 1 and games 2 between the Toronto Raptors and the Brooklyn Nets were played with 2 days off in between. The Brooklyn Nets decided we're not staying in Toronto. They actually traveled home and then came back for game 2.
I don't blame them. Every series did it in the first round. They just did it in different sections of the series. But every series did it in the first round. That's why every series but Miami took 2 weeks.
I know, and that's insane.
I don't mind them doing it for travel. I'm okay with that. But don't do it in the middle of the series where you're playing at the same place. That's where I have a problem with it. Don't play game 1 on a Monday and then play game freaking 2 on a Thursday.
the other thing is I don't want to ever overemphasize travel, because certainly travel is not one of those things that can be equated from team to team to team. You look at Anaheim and LA, they're in backdoor neighborhoods. You look at Pittsburgh and New York, they're fairly close. You look at Chicago and Minnesota, they're not too bad, but they might be the farthest apart. Montreal and Boston are pretty close as well. But you look at where some of these teams reside, that's not travel.
I understand that, but what did the Rangers play? 7 games in 6 days?
No, they did not play 7 games in 6 days. No, and they didn't play 6 games in 7 days either. They did have the full stint with 1 game and then a day off. The only time that didn't happen was between Game 6 and Game 7, where they played back-to-back nights. What is bizarre is New York wins those games, wins the series, gets 2 days off, starts a series with Pittsburgh, and has to play 3 games in 4 days.
Okay, they played 6 games in the past 9 days and 5 in the past 7.
That's correct.
That's a lot of games.
It is, and Alain Vigneault is right to be a little bit upset, but at the same token, he's putting too much weight on that one, and I think it undermines what his team is capable of or not capable of against the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's put a reason in the heads of the players to believe that they have been defeated because of the scheduling gods, and that's where I'm going with this. Is I don't want to be using that as an excuse. The Pittsburgh Penguins had to travel between games 2 and Game 3.
That was ridiculous.
They come up with shutouts in the other opposition building.
See, that's ridiculous. They don't even give him a day between the travel. They played freaking Sunday and Monday in 2 different places. That's ridiculous.
And I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just saying let's not put too much weight into that.
I asked at the time, because we were talking about it, I asked, is there anything going on at Madison Square Garden as why they had to do that, or any of the... Both freaking places were empty, so why do that?
Yeah, and that's true, too. There was nothing going on in Pittsburgh either.
So why do it? Because I'm Gary Bettman and I can do what I want. Well, you're a moron.
Well, okay, now let's look at this from now the media perspective, because, of course, when you're looking at NBC, who does NBC want to have on their television station Sunday afternoon? They want to have the biggest market possible. That's only one answer to that, and that's the New York Rangers. Where it doesn't make sense is why did they play on back-to-back nights, Sunday and Monday? Monday's not a huge draw. Why could they not have played Tuesday?
Exactly. That's and you know what? To me, that's all Gary Bettman. Well,
if it's Gary Bettman, then it's because he's being driven or being encouraged by the television networks. And what he needs to do is he needs to represent the league that he is actually the president of, and he needs to represent the governors of all of these teams, and he needs to tell the television stations, listen, these teams spend big bucks every year on their players, on their market share, on promoting their team. The last thing we want to do is have them suffer a loss that can be equated to the fact that they had no control over a scheduling commitment that the television networks endorsed. And so if Gary Bettman is being driven by NBC to have the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers play on back-to-back nights, then you're absolutely right. Gary Bettman is not looking after the owners of each one of those NHL teams and keeping their best interests alive.
I agree with that statement. 13-7, Indiana over Washington right now. I got the game on.
It's early.
Yeah, way early. Okay, so now I want to do something that's kind of funny with you. It has to do with a hockey story and a hockey injury and a baseball injury. Okay,
I do want to get into that, but I want to ask you a quick question because obviously I missed out on some opportunities to be on your shows here in the last couple of weeks.
Go ahead.
I want your honest thoughts about the Toronto Raptors and the Brooklyn Nets series going 7 games and the 7th game being decided by a single point. What were the thoughts? What was the feeling south of the border about the Brooklyn Nets advancing over the Toronto Raptors?
I would say that my thoughts real quickly, Ron, is that classic series, and for people in Toronto, it seems like they're more heartbreak.
Okay. Definitely. was there any ever questions about officiating? Was there any questions about calls going one way or the other way?
Nope.
Like, did anybody think that there could have been a conspiracy theory? I'm not saying that there was. I just want to know, did anybody kind of subscribe to that notion?
No, I picked the Nets to win that, so I didn't think Toronto had a shot.
So do you think that they performed better than than you expected?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm kind of happy that they renegotiated the coach's contract up there.
He got 3 years.
Yeah, he got a 3-year extension, which don't really mean anything, a hill of beans, because if he doesn't make the playoffs next year and the year after that, they'll fire him anyway.
Coaches are hired to be fired, absolutely.
Yeah,
and if we want to, we can touch on some of the firings in the NHL already of head coaches. Very quickly, your friend, my friend, John Tortorella, is done in Vancouver.
How about that? 1 year, right?
He got fired, and then he was gone.
1 year, right?
1 year. He had a 5-year deal. You know what that cost Trevor Linden, the Vancouver Canucks, and the Vancouver Canuck fan base? That cost them $8 million to write those papers that he was fired.
Way to go.
And on that note, before we continue on with more hockey talk, Ron, we got to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Sports World Radio.
Did you know that just 30 minutes a day of physical activity can improve your health and decrease your risk of heart disease? For every hour of regular, vigorous exercise, you gain 2 hours of life expectancy. So start walking for yourself and for your heart. Start walking with your family. You'll feel better. Start walking in your community. You'll lead happier and healthier lives. Start walking. Start something. Join the movement today. For more information on the American Heart Association START program, visit startwalkingnow.org and start walking. Start something.
My mother made the best toffee in the world. It's delicious. So now we've turned her toffee into a business. My goal was to take an idea and make it happen. I'm Janet Long, and I formed my toffee company through LegalZoom. I never really thought I would make money doing what I love.
We created LegalZoom to help people start their business and launch their dreams. Go to LegalZoom.com today and make your business dream a reality. At LegalZoom.com, we put the law on your side.
Storms move fast, so we use the best technology. That includes Bosch Icon wiper blades.
They're beam blades with memory tension springs and an aerodynamic design,
which means they fit the curve of the windshield. Bosch Icon wiper blades wiped our windshield clean and outlasted any other blade we've used. In my opinion, the Bosch Icon wiper blades are the best blades out there. Bosch Icon wiper blades, how storm chasers clear the way.
What kind of person gets to work in the sunshine instead of an office? This kind of person. I am the new way to work. I do have an office. I'm just not chained to it. It's a Regis office at one of the nicest addresses in the city. I don't have a lease, so I don't have to budget for stuff like phones, IT guys, and artwork for the lobby. Instead, I pay one low monthly rate that gives me a beautiful lobby that impresses my clients, a friendly receptionist, a fully furnished office, a place to meet, and a place to brainstorm with my fellow new way to workers. We wonder why more people don't realize that the new way to work is the best way to work. I come here because I want to, not because I have to. I am the new way to work, and I'd like you to join me.
Start now and get 1 month free. Call 1-800-OFFICES or visit regis.com/TV.
Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Welcome back to Sports World Radio. I'm Jeff Escal, Sean Mann, and Ron Gallo sitting in with us like he does each and every Wednesday in the second hour of the show. That's right, I said second hour because we do this show every Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. on the East. I'm sorry, 6 p.m. on the East, 3 p.m. in the West. Unmute yourself, Sean. And if you live in the Central?
Yes, figure that out for yourself.
That's so
right.
funny.
It's 18 minutes past the hour. We have our hockey man, Ron Gallo. We had a very fun little commercial break talk there, right, Ron?
Absolutely, at your expense, Sean.
Why not at his expense? I'm glad you said it where you said it so it wasn't said on the air because then Wes would get involved.
Well, there you go.
And that's the last thing I want to see happening.
All right, so you've got an injury update for me from hockey and baseball.
Yeah, well, it's a comparison injury update. Matt in Major League Baseball, Matt Cain, the pitcher, okay, was making a ham and cheese sandwich and wanted to cut it into nice triangles, and he cut his finger.
Nice.
So now he's on the DL list, or he's been on the DL for quite a while, and he can't play, can't pitch, nothing, right?
Right.
Over in the National Hockey League, they have a player by the name of, and I know I'm going to blow this, plays for Chicago, Nicholas Hammerson. How do you pronounce that?
Harmelson, yeah.
Harmelson? Nicholas Harmelson, right?
Yep.
Got struck in the throat by a Jonas Borden wrist shot with the puck. Did you hear about this, Ron?
Not only that, he was not cleared to talk.
He
Okay?
can't
the
talk.
The doctor said you can't talk, but he wore a neck guard and went and played in the game.
How about, and not only that, he didn't miss a shift.
No.
Didn't miss a shift. Played in the game. Can't talk at all for 2 weeks. Showed up at practice the next morning and is going to play in the game, the next game.
Absolutely.
But Matt Cain cut his finger making a ham and cheese sandwich and is on the DL.
It happens. Do you guys remember when Steven Stamkos broke his leg sliding into the goalpost at the beginning of the season?
Yeah.
He actually got up and tried to skate, and then that's when he realized that it was broken. There was the guy who had the heart attack on the bench, and when he was in the dressing room, said, "I'm good to go. I can finish the game." And the doctor said, "No, you can't. You just had a heart attack."
I know. You can't get struck in the throat by a Jonas Borden wrist shot with the puck, skates off gingerly, which I'm sure his hockey teammates will give him hell for that. Right? Gets checked by the doctors, doesn't miss a shift. Now the son of a bitch literally can't talk at all.
They have a highlight from yesterday's game, and because he can't call for the puck, you see him and he's waving his arms. He's calling for the puck because he's open.
Is that crazy?
That's crazy.
How about that for a difference of an injury in Major League Baseball that puts you on the freaking DL for trying to cut your ham and cheese sandwich in a triangle, and the NHL dude who gets struck in the throat with a puck and doesn't miss his shift?
There has been some wild stories like that through hockey. I'm not sure if you guys remember the name Paul Kariya or not. Played for the Anaheim Ducks when they were known as the Anaheim Mighty Ducks.
Yes.
In the Stanley Cup playoffs one year, he ended up getting rocked at the blue line by Scott Stevens. He was hit so hard he was knocked unconscious, and the camera's on his face, and they actually show him being when he comes to, because his visor fogs up from him taking a breath. He goes to the dressing room and decides that he's got a clear head, comes back out and scores the overtime winning goal in that game.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah.
The hockey players are tough, man. That's
They
crazy.
are.
Guy can't freaking talk, and he's playing freaking hockey. How crazy is that?
It's physical. That's what it is.
The only good thing out of that, is he doesn't have to talk to the media after games.
He doesn't have to talk to the media.
Right?
No, he's not cleared to talk yet.
He's not. How about that? You're not cleared to talk, but you can play. How great is that? How great is it? You're not clear. He's not clear. You can't talk for 2 weeks, but you can play all you want.
Speaking about not being able to talk, how about Kevin Durant getting all choked up there on his MVP speech?
Yeah, I seen that.
He was very emotional. Yeah.
I seen that.
Well, I mean,
That's
you heard
a
the story. He comes from a very poor background, and he said there was times where his mom would go to bed hungry because she had to make sure that the kids ate.
I get it. I understand it. But that speech there is more like your Hall of Fame speech.
You think that was a little too high?
I think so. It's just the MVP, dude. It's not like you went into the Hall of Fame. Now what's your Hall of Fame speech going to be? And plus, next year when you win the MVP or again when you win it, what's that speech going to be like?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That speech should have been reserved for the Hall of Fame. Because
Yeah,
I can
save it
almost
for the
guarantee.
Hall of-
Hold on a second. I can almost guarantee you're going to hear something like that again in his Hall of Fame speech. Because you know he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, save it for the Hall of Fame. Be proud of the fact that you earned the MVP. I think that was overdone, Ron.
Okay, no, that's interesting. I mean, I never looked at it from that perspective. I just, I saw a player that was opening up, and I thought it was pretty touching. But you're right. I mean, now all of a sudden the benchmark is too high.
Yeah, exactly. See what I'm saying now? I mean, great speech and excellent, and whatever. I can't understand from where he came from because I didn't come from that, so it's kind of tough for me to understand that. But I get it. But still, now you got nowhere to go for your Hall of Fame speech. Because I can almost guarantee you he's going to use some of that same stuff in his Hall of Fame speech. Because why wouldn't you?
Well, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Okay, now let's get into some hockey, brother.
Yeah, the hockey playoffs going on right now, Ron Gallo, and we got a game tonight, the Penguins and the Rangers. What's your thought about this series?
Well, I mean, this is the one that we were just talking about before the break, and this is the series where the Pittsburgh Penguins were lucky to escape with a series victory, in my opinion, over the Columbus Blue Jackets. This was a series in the first round that was way closer than it should have been, and even though the series at one time was a 3-1 lead a 3-2 lead for the Pittsburgh Penguins, it certainly didn't feel like a lead, and they really were lucky to be able to pull that one out in the end. You look at the other one, and I told you to watch the New York Rangers and the Philadelphia Flyers, that this one was going to be a barn burner, and it really did live up to its hype. And now these two teams meet in the second round, and the Pittsburgh Penguins have ended up with a 2-1 series lead after the New York Rangers really had a lot of momentum on their side. I think adrenaline was on their side, and still a lot of question marks in the back of many people's heads with the Pittsburgh Penguins, especially with Sidney Crosby not scoring a playoff goal, if you can believe that, in 8 games. He actually went 9 games before he scored his first playoff goal, and that came in game number 3. But the Pittsburgh Penguins have done something to the New York Rangers, and I'm not sure what. Is it partly because of Bettman? I'm not sure. But the Pittsburgh Penguins have a 3-0 victory and a 2-0 victory, and now are heading into game 4 with a chance to put a stranglehold on the New York Rangers and then close it out in 5 games back home in Pittsburgh. So the pressure is all on New York tonight to get it done in front of their fans at Madison Square Gardens. We'll see if Henry Lundqvist can stop this one. But more importantly, it's Rick Nash. Rick Nash has been extremely quiet. He has not been given position around the net to become a danger. And unlike Sidney Crosby, who admittedly didn't have any goals, he was still a playmaker. He was still making things happen. He was still the center of attraction. But Rick Nash seems to have faded off into the sidelines.
Yeah, I would just have to say that, the Rangers know very well they are in the do-or-die situation. They drop this one, they go down 3-1. They don't want that because you know very well it's going to be very tough for the to come back against the Penguins. And it seems like the Penguins, after they got swept last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, it seems like now they are really wanting to be a team that is ready for payback and stuff like that too. And yes, Wes, I know you're very happy. I've been seeing him happy all along about how his Penguins are doing.
Screw him.
All right, so there are 3 other series in the second round, and I want to start with the one that's actually going to get an extra day off, and that is the Chicago Blackhawks and the Minnesota Wild. This one was an interesting series because so far it's turning into a home-based series. The Chicago Blackhawks had actually strung together 6 consecutive wins before losing last night to the Minnesota Wild. Final score was 4-0 last night. There was no scoring until the third period, if you can believe this. These two teams went through 40-plus minutes without scoring a goal, and then all of a sudden Minnesota made it a 2-0 game. Then they got a bit of a break, making it 3-0, and an empty netter made it 4-0. So for the Chicago Blackhawks, I don't think that they're out of the series, but you cannot underestimate all of a sudden the adrenaline that has been pumped into the Minnesota Wild, who have a chance to tie this series at 2 games apiece on home ice, not tomorrow night, but the night after. They get the extra night off. And that, to me, gives Chicago a little bit more time to maybe just kind of settle themselves down and look over the game tape to find out what didn't quite go right for them against the Minnesota Wild last night. For Minnesota, they're itching to get back into the action and get back on the ice, and it's not going to happen. So despite the fact that Minnesota is going to have that shot of adrenaline, I think that this series and the extra couple of days off favor the Chicago Blackhawks, actually, and they could be taking a 3-1 series lead back home as well.
I don't think the Blackhawks should be that concerned that they didn't play well against Minnesota. They're still up 2-1, still very, very tough. I don't even see Minnesota even having a chance to beat the Blackhawks. They'll have to be really, really tough against them, but I just don't see it happening.
All right, so now we're left with 2 more series. One of them, the co-host will want to talk quite a bit about. The other one, the host will want to talk a little bit about. But how about them LA Kings? They have found a way to go up 2-0 against the Anaheim Ducks. But get this, those wins came in Anaheim.
Yeah, they both did, and to steal their home ice was big. It just seems like nothing has stopped the Los Angeles Kings after they made the big comeback against the Sharks. We'll talk more about the hockey after we get done with this last update.
That's right. Well, let's get this last update in. Take it away, Sean, and the update, man.
Welcome, everybody, to the final update. It is 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 4:30 p.m. Pacific. It is Wednesday, May 7th, 2014. We're going to start in the NBA. Here's what we have for tonight's games. It is the Wizards at the Pacers. Right now, it's the second quarter with 11 minutes and 37 seconds to go in the first half. The Wizards have a 25-23 lead over the Pacers. Concluding that game on TNT, it'll be the Clippers at the Thunder, Game 2. Tomorrow night in the Eastern Conference semifinals on ESPN2, it'll be the Nets at the Heat. And in this series, the Heat have a 1-0 lead in the best of 7. The Trailblazers at the Spurs, Western Conference semifinals, with the Spurs leading 1-0. In the National Hockey League, as we are talking about right now, one game where the puck will drop very, very shortly. It'll be the Penguins at the Rangers. It's Game 4. Situation is like this. The Penguins take the game. They go up 3-1 and put the Rangers on the brink of elimination. The Rangers win. Then the playoff series in this one will be evened up at 2 games apiece. Tomorrow night's games feature the Bruins at the Canadiens, and in this series, the Canadiens in the Eastern Conference semifinals, they lead 2-1. Situation, Bruins take the game. The series is tied at 2. The Canadiens take the game. The Canadiens will be up 3-1, looking to shock the world by knocking off the team that had the most points and was the President Cup trophy winner. The Mighty Ducks at the Kings, and in this series right here, Western Conference, the Kings have a 2-0 lead in this series. The Kings, of course, won both games in Anaheim. Now they have the home ice advantage. In Major League Baseball, here's what we got going on for the games right now. We'll start in the American League right now. The Twins at the Indians, that game is scoreless. That's in the top half of the third inning. The Phillies, they played last night at home against the Blue Jays. Now they're playing up in Toronto, Ontario tonight for interleague play. Right now that game is scoreless, top third. The Reds and the Red Sox, this game has just started, top second, and there is no score in that game. No score down in St. Petersburg, Florida, between the Orioles and the Rays. And then, of course, you got the Astros and the Tigers. That game is scoreless, too. Here are the other games that we have. The Mariners at the Athletics. ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball. It'll be the Cubs at the White Sox. Interleague play continues. You got the Rockies and the Rangers. And then back to the American League, you got the Yankees at the Angels. In the National League, there's one game that is going on right now. That's the Cardinals and the Braves. Finals from today, this afternoon, the Pirates 4, the Giants 3, Marlins 1, Mets 0, Nationals 3, Dodgers 2, Diamondbacks 3, Brewers 2, and the Royals shut out the Padres by a score of 8-0. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Welcome to the Man Manual. Man comes with a multifunctional casing known as skin. It is remarkable. Warning, standard body wash can cause damage to man's skin. Maintain it properly with Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash. It cleans man and protects skin from dryness. This will keep man's skin remarkable, even under extreme testing. Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash. Skin care built in. Also, freshen man's exterior with new Aqua Impact Body Wash.
Every parent wants the safest and healthiest products for their family. That's why I created The Honest Company. I was just a concerned mom with a crazy dream. A wish that there was a company that I could rely on that did all of the hard work for me. I'm Jessica Alba, and The Honest Company was my dream.
LegalZoom has helped 1 million businesses successfully get started, including Jessica's. Launch your dream at LegalZoom today. Call us. We're here to help.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Radio, Jeff Escott, Sean Mann, and sitting in with us like he does each and every Wednesday in the second hour of the show, the hockey guru of Sports World Radio, Ron Gallo himself. Hey, Ron, so you're no longer working for the Spruce Kings, correct?
I'm helping them out, but no, I'm not really working for them anymore at all.
No more play-by-play, man, huh?
No, that was tough. You got to remember, that's how you ended up finding me is in 2007 when I took the course. I was trying to get better as a play-by-play person with the Prince George Spruce Kings.
7 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, 7 years ago already. And
Amazing
Sean, how long has it been for you since when you went to that school?
Me?
Yeah, you. Unmute yourself.
6 years, I'd say.
Wow, jeez, you guys are, man, that makes me feel old.
Yeah, coming up on anniversaries here, Jeff.
Yeah, Sean and I have been doing this show for, almost 6 years, buddy?
Yes, we've been doing it for 6 years in October.
6 years in October. How about that, Mr. Ron?
That's awesome.
That's a long time, huh?
I've been a little bit of a minor part of it for almost all that time, too.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. You guys have made Sports World Radio what Sports World Radio is today, besides what I've done to it. You know? Besides what I've done to it. All right, let's get back to some hockey talk. What do you say? We were talking what game were we talking about? The Ducks and the Kings, correct?
Yeah, the
that's
Kings
right.
have a 2-0 lead in this series, and they took both games in Anaheim. What did you think of that, Ron?
I was actually, to be honest with you, quite surprised that the Los Angeles Kings were able to do what they did. But then at the other token, I'm not that surprised because LA is a playoff team lately. Last few years, the LA Kings have found a way to go as deep as they possibly can into the playoffs. What they need to do is they need to go the whole distance, and they need to hoist that cup.
Yeah, you got to remember, too, that when they won the Stanley Cup, which was 2012, nobody really gave them a chance at all, and then they really shocked the world with what they did.
Absolutely, and the team, in essence, still has a lot of those components of that Stanley Cup winning team.
Yep.
Hey, Josh, don't get me started with that, because I'll go cracker all over that bitch. You see what he says in the chat room, right? He says, Skip Bayless said today that the Cowboys could make the NFC Championship game. Don't get me started on that, man. I'm telling you right now.
Jeff is about the Cowboys.
I'm telling you right now, don't get me started on that because that'll eat up all of Ron's time, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
we can touch on it, though.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's amazing in that series, though, that well, you got to remember, when the Kings came back and beat the Sharks there, Ron, it just seems like after that series, nothing's really stopped them. They've
What number?
Been so tough and really physical.
What number are the Kings?
What number did they finish at?
No, what number? what number did they?
Seed?
What
Well,
number?
right now they're seeded as number 3, but
And when they won it, they were seeded 8th, correct?
the way the new seeding worked, they were able to get in as the 6th team.
The 6th seed this year.
Yes.
So, and when they won it,
they were the 8th.
They were the 8th seed, right?
Yes.
And nobody expected them to do it, right?
Not at all.
So nobody expects them to do it again this year, do they?
No, it's one of those teams that slips in underneath the radar. Nobody's really got their eyes on them, and then all of a sudden everybody's taking notice. And when you think about it, the San Jose Sharks had a 3-0 series lead. The LA Kings shouldn't be here, but they have found a way to win the last 5 games straight. Sorry, make that 6 games straight.
yeah.
Because, of course, they had to win 4 against San Jose, and now they've already got 2 against Anaheim.
How crazy is that? They kind of like just turned the light switch on, didn't they?
It's hugely crazy when you think about it. I mean, the Anaheim Ducks thought that they were off to a win in game number 1 and thought that they could do it again in game number 2, but Jonathan Quick obviously shut that down.
He's a hell of a goaltender, ain't he?
He is.
He's a hell of a goal. I watched a lot of him when he played for the United States. He didn't play that much. Okay. He actually no, was he the? He was the lead guy. It was whatchamacallit that didn't play that much. Quick is a hell of a goaltender. And with a name like Quick, how else could you not but be a goaltender?
Well, there's always an argument in names, whatever. But, I mean, he lives up to his last name. Let's put it that way.
I mean, I watched him when he played, because I watched every American game that they played.
Mm-hmm.
And Miller was the backup, right?
Miller ended up losing, really, his position on that Olympic team.
To Quick, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Quick is phenomenal, man. And he plays, and I know he plays for the Kings. He was on the Kings when they won the Stanley Cup 2 years ago, correct?
He was really the reason why
they
won.
won. Right, because he went on this really hot streak, didn't he?
When you look at goaltenders from a Stanley Cup winning team, you are looking at the reason why a lot of these teams make it through. And I'm going to give props to Tim Thomas when he was with the Boston Bruins. Certainly, you've got to look at some of the defense that were in front of Tim Thomas, giving him the opportunity to see the puck, but he was making unbelievable saves and robbing the Vancouver Canucks of a chance of hoisting the Stanley Cup. Now you look at Tim Thomas, and he's basically washed up.
Hey, Josh, do me a favor. Go find out how many points and rebounds Hibbert has right now for me, please. Thank you.
All right. So
we got
on the other series now, Jeff. Do you want
Ron,
to move over a little bit?
Hold on,
and the Montreal Canadiens?
Yeah, 1 second, Ron. The reason why I asked Josh that is because we have the over and under on Hibbert scoring in today's game at 5 points, and the over and under is 5 rebounds. I have him over 5 points and over 5 rebounds, and the rest of these dudes got him under.
Yeah, I voted him less.
Right. Because of the way
I would have took the over.
I took the wall. He scored in 3 games so far this year in the playoffs. No points, no rebounds, 5 fouls.
And he's only shot 37%, and that was in the opening round against Atlanta there, Ron.
Exactly. Hibbert has 9 points and 2 rebounds.
In today's game.
In today's game right now, he's got 9 points. So he's already over the 5. Thank you very much. I'm right about that. And only needs 3 more rebounds to get over the 5 for that. So he's kind of showing up today.
He did show up.
How about them apples? He actually showed up.
After being a playoff underachiever in the first round, it looks like he must have shown up.
And that first game against them was unbelievable. Lance Stevenson has no points, though. That's big right there. That's why this game is so close. That's why this game is very close right now. All right, let's move over to the final hockey game that we need to get to.
Let's talk a little bit and transition it from basketball to hockey, but using that same thought that you had there, Jeff. And what it is when you look at a team, you look at their top go-getters, their top goal scorers, their top producers, and you have to devise a plan, a defensive plan that's going to keep them at bay. Because if you can't contain them, you can't beat them. You look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, the other team has figured out how to contain Sidney Crosby. When you look at the Montreal Canadiens, they've actually found a way to slow down and mitigate Jarome Iginla, Milan Lucic, David Krejci. Those 3 have combined for a single goal.
Wow.
So when you think about that, I mean, the Boston Bruins right now, you can't ask Tuukka Rask, the goaltender, to get it to stop everything. You're not going to be able to stop everything. And the Boston Bruins, if I can use the term, are a very, the word I want to use starts with a C, but they're very egotistical. They're very high on themselves, and they believe that they can just skate in a straight line and skate through the opposition because they're big, they're bold, and they're fearless.
They're arrogant?
Arrogant is a word, yeah. Okay, but I'll leave it there. And certainly that arrogance.
Really, you wanted to use the C word?
Yeah, CO. Yeah.
CO or CU?
No, CO.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Five letters.
Okay. I thought
But
you were going to
anyways,
say,
like you said, they're arrogant. They believe that they could just skate in a straight line and get the job done and go through the Montreal Canadiens.
kind of like Sean, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of like what? Do you want to?
The arrogance that you show, Sean.
The arrogance that you show about your Boston Red Sox, your Boston Bruins, your Boston Celtics, and your New England Patriots.
Yeah. Just like I have to hear it about you, Jeff, and your Giants and your Knicks and your Mets.
You never hear me say about the Mets. I give you the Giants and the Knicks, but that's it. I only have two.
And as far as I'm concerned, the Boston Bruins, they also play with a dirtiness, if you will. Milan Lucic is becoming notorious now for being known for spearing the boys in the junk.
We have to run to the last commercial break. I'll be ready to hear more about this after the last break.
Sports World Radio.
I had PTSD. Once I was back from Iraq, I was distant from everybody in my family.
We had a reunion of our unit, and you'd hear these spouses say, "Is your husband doing that? My husband's doing that too. I thought it was just us." And really understanding that, hey, this is a common experience.
I learned more to listen to what he was saying, and that made it easier for me to understand where his pain was coming from.
Warriors should know that resources are available. Learn more at realwarriors.net.
Every parent wants the safest and healthiest products for their family. That's why I created The Honest Company. I was just a concerned mom with a crazy dream. A wish that there was a company that I could rely on that did all of the hard work for me. I'm Jessica Alba, and The Honest Company was my dream.
LegalZoom has helped 1 million businesses successfully get started, including Jessica's. Launch your dream at LegalZoom today. Call us. We're here to help.
Confusion ever someone or have sudden you trouble had speaking, understanding?
Understanding trouble? Have you sudden have or speaking someone ever confusion?
Have you ever had sudden confusion, trouble speaking, or understanding someone?
It could be one of the 5 signs of stroke.
Sudden weakness or numbness of the face, arm, or leg.
Sudden trouble with vision in one or both eyes.
Suddenly having trouble walking or difficulty with balance.
Or a sudden intense headache that comes out of nowhere.
If you or someone you know has any of these symptoms, don't wait. Call 911 immediately. You could make a difference in someone's life, someone you love, maybe even your own.
It's late until, wait, don't too. Don't wait until it's too late.
Time lost is brain lost.
Find out more at powertoendstroke.org. Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, this is Sky. And when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Sitting in with us like he does each and every Wednesday in the second hour of the show. Final segment of the show. Pretty much all hockey talk in this second hour of the show. We've been throwing intermittent stuffs in here and there. I got to figure out a way to record the calls while we're on hold, because that's better than the freaking show itself sometimes.
Oh, jeez.
It
48
is.
minutes past the hour.
What time is it, buddy?
It's 7:48 p.m. on the East Coast, which is 4:48 p.m. on the West.
And if you live in the Central, figure that crap out for yourself.
You said it, I didn't, and you read the line pretty good, pal. I'll tell you that.
Well, that's
All
because
right,
I invented
Ron,
the
you were
line.
talking about the series between Boston and Montreal.
Absolutely. Now, the Boston Bruins, maybe this is a little bit of my heart coming through here because everybody knows that I'm cheering for the Montreal Canadiens, but Milan
You
Lucic,
Canadian,
Brad
you.
Marchand, a number of the Boston Bruins are getting away with a lot of extracurricular activity, stick swings, a little bit of slash. Milan Lucic has already been caught on camera a number of times and fined $5,000 for spearing the boys in the junk. But he hasn't learned from it. He did it again last night, and he got caught on camera doing it again last night.
Is he going to get fined again?
It's hard to say. I mean, nothing's really been said about it. The Montreal Canadiens voiced it in the press conference after the game
Somebody's going to take that guy out.
But I haven't heard anything today whether or not the NHL's discipline committee is looking into it. Part of the reason why the discipline committee has been quiet lately is because Brendan Shanahan, Sheriff Shanny, is no longer really with that discipline committee. He's moving on to be with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's going to be taking up a post with the Toronto Maple Leafs in the NHL. But let's not get away from the series at hand. And this is the Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens. Yes, the Boston Bruins have one game in that 3-game series so far. They trail the Montreal Canadiens 2-1. But the interesting thing, Jeff, the time that the Boston Bruins have led in 3 games is 7.5 minutes.
Wow. That's not a lot of time.
In 3 games, they've only led for 7.5 minutes.
They stink.
The Montreal
That's why they're in
Canadiens,
the playoff series. Yeah, go
the
ahead.
Montreal Canadiens, by all rights, should actually be up 3-0. Of course, we know that that's not the case. They blame themselves, and they say that they played only 50 minutes of game number 2, and that's why Boston was able to get back into that series before it headed to Montreal. Last night, Boston just about did it again. And now there's a lot of people that are saying from the Boston side that the Montreal Canadiens got away with a non-call when PK Subban actually ran into the goal post and knocked the net off of its moorings with 12 seconds remaining in regulation time. Play went on for about another 6 seconds. The clock got reset to 10 seconds remaining. It simply wasn't enough for Boston to tie up the game. But more importantly, when a player intentionally knocks the net off of its moorings in the final 2 minutes of a game, it's an automatic penalty shot for the other team. And that's why Boston is upset. They feel that PK Subban did that intentionally. And that's why PK Subban, by the way, is enemy number 1 in Boston.
Of course. Can't stand him after what he did.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah,
you can't stand him because
Jeff.
he scored the overtime winner.
Your team's down 2 games to 1 in your series.
Oh, poor baby.
It's a 7-game series. You know this. We've already seen San Jose think that they had a series in the bag, and they lost it.
That's right there, Shawnee.
I know, and that's why I'm not concerned, because there's still a lot of series left, and Game 4 is tomorrow, and I hope for a better outcome.
Not going to be. You're going to be putting away your Boston freaking Bruins gear, man.
There's not going to be any messages on Facebook of my talking about the Boston Bruins coming from Sean.
Nope, because every time they lose, he don't post nothing, only when they win.
Yeah, that's right.
Shush
He's a fair weather fan, Jeff.
Shush it, both of you. Cut this out. I don't need any of this crap.
He's a what did you call him? A fair weather fan? I like that.
Fair weather fan.
I like that. It's a fair weather fan. Oh, big deal.
You know what? West does the same thing. Only when they lose, only when his team lose, he complains.
Am I upset because my team's losing in baseball right now, 2-0?
Yes.
No, because there's a lot of game left.
Yes, you are.
No,
I'm
not.
Yes, you are. You just won't admit it.
Quit jumping to conclusions there, Jeff. You're upset too because
I know you long enough to know that yes, you are. You just won't admit it. See, I'm right.
Thanks a lot.
See,
Thanks
I'm right. See, I know he's upset about it. He got upset during the first game of the season. They were losing. He was yelling at us, guys. Dude, relax. First game.
Never, ever,
three-run
ever
home run
measure,
against Texas.
Never measure a team's success by their early season start, whether it be bad or great. You look at the Toronto Maple Leafs. What were they on? 11, 13. I think it was a 13-game winning streak. They never even made the postseason. Look at the Philadelphia Flyers. They were on an 11-game losing streak. They made the postseason. Yes, they lost in the first round, but they made the playoffs.
There you go.
And remember the LA Kings a couple of years ago when they won the Stanley Cup, nobody thought that they were going to be able to squeeze out that 8th and final playoff spot. And they did it on the last night of the regular season and then ended up cruising through to the Stanley Cup finals.
Okay, Roy Hibbert's got 15 points and 3 rebounds so far. In the last four games, he had 13 points and 9 rebounds. So he's playing better.
He needs 2 more rebounds for you, though.
Yeah, he's playing better. I already got the points. Now I need him to grab me the rebounds. He's playing better.
Jenny Malkin has the Pittsburgh Penguins leading the New York Rangers 1-0. That's nearing the midway mark of the first period of play.
And this score over here is 39-39, all tied up. 2:40 to go in the second quarter. Pretty crazy.
Getting interesting.
Getting very, very interesting. This is going to be, if Indiana can win this, then you got a series. If Indiana goes down, they got a problem. They got a major problem on their hands. Major problems. Okay, so who are you looking to win this series over there against the Ducks and the Kings?
Before the series started, I had Anaheim pegged, and if Anaheim can't win game number 3 tomorrow night, I think LA is going to end up winning it in at least 5, if not 4.
Where's that game? In Anaheim or in?
No, it's just over to LA.
So it doesn't really matter whether the game's in Anaheim or LA. It's pretty much in the same area.
No, I think it's a different postal code or zip code, but that's it.
Yeah, I know where both. I know where Staples is, and I know where Anaheim is. Both buildings. Mm-hmm. Anaheim is sooner up on the I-5 than Staples is. So yes, Anaheim is in Anaheim, and Staples is in downtown LA. It's probably a good 45-minute drive from each other, but everybody's sleeping in their own beds. There's no travel.
No, you go home after the game.
Yeah, everybody's sleeping in their own bed. How great of a series is that, dude, huh? How comfortable is that? You don't have to travel at all. You don't have to get on a plane for the whole entire series. And you get to sleep in your own bed for the whole entire series. How beautiful is that? You know? That's got to be an incentive just on its own to play it all 7 games, right?
The interesting thing about that is whichever team comes out of that division, especially if it's LA, they've had virtually no travel through the first 2 rounds because LA and San Jose, you can tell me how far apart that is, but what is it? It's about 2 hours?
Drive time?
Yeah.
Drive time, it's 6 hours. Okay. Fly time, it's like an hour.
All right.
You know what I mean?
And then LA and Anaheim, you've already talked about it. It's only a few minutes apart.
Correct. Right.
Isn't it like 45 or 50 minutes?
Yeah, but still, it's all drive. Anybody who lives in that. So in other words, I'm pretty sure the teams, the players, all the players are driving themselves to each ballpark, each arena.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't need to go in a motel or anything.
No motel, no buses, nothing. You know, they just drive in, drive right underneath, boom, get out. Let somebody valet take their car to where they need it and then get you know what I mean? Come on. That's the way they do it in the professional sports. So I don't see anybody on a bus, on a plane, and if I'm these 2 teams, I want to play 7 games so I don't have to go fly anywhere too soon.
No, exactly. And then when it gets down to the Western Conference Finals, it'll be LA versus Chicago or Minnesota. I think it's going to be Chicago. And it's a little bit of a surprise to me that it's going to be LA coming out of it, but there's a team that I underestimated again.
Well, you know what really pisses me off is that Chicago's in the West.
Chicago needs to be in the West. I think Detroit needs to be in the West. The one that disappoints me is that Detroit got placed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they got placed in the East, but I think Chicago should be in the East and Detroit should be in the West. Isn't Chicago closer to East than Detroit is? They're both in the Central, for Jiminy Cricket's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They whittled away with the Central, which I think was stupid.
The East Division, the East Conference has 2 more teams than the West. One team needed to go from the East to the West. That, to me, should have been Detroit.
Well, in that scenario, yes. But they screwed up the freaking divisions anyway, or the conferences anyway.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm still like that one. You know how you get on a tangent sometimes, Jeff? This is the one that upsets me the most. It's the one that makes the NHL look foolish.
It does.
That you have an Eastern Conference that has 2 more teams in it than the Western Conference, and you have a team like the Detroit Red Wings who could be and should be playing in the West.
Right. And I think that Chicago should be in the East.
Look what Encyclopedia Man says. Because the Central's awesome. Stop being a hater, Jeff.
Central blows. I lived in Essential. Essential blows. Okay?
Alrighty.
It's cold and windy and snowy there. It stinks.
And it's humid.
That's right. And it's humid in the summer. It stinks. It's not good enough for me.
Sean, you have to promise me tomorrow night, whoever wins between Boston and Montreal, you have to congratulate that team, no matter who wins.
On
Well,
Facebook.
now, why would I want to congratulate that team? We
Because
all know
that's-
that there's hatred between Boston
because-
and Montreal. Come on.
Because that's sportsmanship, you rat bastard.
I don't have any right to say anything about those doggone Canadians. Why do I have to promise you that, Ron?
Because that's sportsmanship.
Exactly.
Sportsmanship.
That's right. Sportsmanship, you rat bastard.
You should be like the Boston Bruins fan that was on Facebook. Then that picture went viral after everybody got on PK Subban's case, and he went on Facebook with his picture and said, "Congratulations, PK Subban."
I can't believe this.
And on that note, you know what? We're getting the flock out of here. Stay tuned for tomorrow's show on Thursday. We'll be back then. Until then, my friends, remember, you only have one life to live. Live it long, live it strong, and live it proud. And please don't forget, life may suck, but the alternative is unacceptable. For Sean Mann, Ron Gallo, I'm Jeff Escow. This has been Sports World Radio. Peace out, bitches.
Goodbye and good luck.
Hey, boy, Stimpy. We sure had fun today, didn't we? So long, kids. Come on, Stimpy, say goodbye.
Where are we going?